Not Nerd Podcast, episode 375, Chinese balloons inside your phone.
Welcome to the Not Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, and mouthing my every word, Mr. Dave Baylor.
I always try to see if I can throw you off a little bit. You know, it's kind of a fun thing I do.
Yes.
I don't have friends.
Put me to the test.
I have hobbies. I just torment people.
Yes.
I'm trying to earn my master troll badge.
And do it well, you do. And as
Thank you,
English,
Yoda.
Good, yes. Oh man,
Podcast we should do.
Podcast we should do, and we should get into some follow-up. Yesterday, as we record, was the Super Bowl of the National Football League, and it's been about a year since we've discussed Super Bowl ads. Funny how that works.
It's weird.
Yes, did any grab ya?
No, not a one. There were some weird ones. There was the Pepsi ones where Ben Stiller and Steve Martin did this is acting. Am I acting? You know, go try it yourself to see if I'm acting. And it's just like, okay. That was the big budget, like Hollywood style ad. The rest were,
I didn't pay as close attention as sometimes I do. We were over at my parents' and the kids were running around and everything, but we definitely didn't have any crypto ads this year or NFT anything. T-Mobile did some, and
there was just nothing that I thought was fantastic. But maybe Super Bowl ads have jumped the shark since people just have been sullied over the years by terrible ads and getting hyped. And it's like, how do you top the ads that, I don't know, 80s, 90s, 2000s, they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and maybe that train has sailed.
Yeah, there was several electric vehicles. The E-Trade babies were back for the wedding.
Oh, yeah, and my comment on that was they just need to do them fully CG versus putting lip syncing stuff on real babies. Is that the one, right, where they were talking?
Yeah.
Just do full CG babies. It would look more convincing. That's my opinion.
Yeah, most of the ads were just confusing to me. There was, I did want to mention one. They had a couple ads, and I had never heard of them before a couple days ago. It was Temu, and they had the Shop Like a Billionaire ad. And the only reason I paid attention to that is because the other day on my Facebook feed, I had this ad for Temu, and it was like, buy these hiking boots for $16.99. And I was like, hey, I'm part of Not Nerd here. I'm going to see what this service is all about. So I went on, and for $16.99 and free shipping. But I looked around the Temu. It looks like a kind of a Alibaba, like just cheap stuff from other countries.
I remember it because one of the guys had an orange stocking hat, and I said, hey, I want that orange stocking hat. But I didn't understand, like, I thought it was a brand, but it's like an Amazon?
Yeah, it's kind of like an Amazon or Alibaba or any of those, like, or Shein that we had talked about where they have all the cheap clothes, but they've got a bunch of random stuff on there for cheap. So I'll have my boots at some point. I'll let you guys know how they work. But I was like, oh, that's why they've been advertising so much. But yeah, the Super Bowl ads, it is what it is.
But did you enjoy the halftime show with a very pregnant Rihanna on a 50-foot platform flying suspended by cables? So I didn't get to watch it because my friend was talking to me about something. My pick of the week, maybe. That's what he was talking to me about. But I watched it after the fact, and I was just like, what? How was that accomplished? There was these platforms going, and they looked high. Yeah. I mean, maybe it was perspective, but they looked like they were way up in the air. So anyway, if you didn't see that, go online. You can go, it was so stupid of a URL to keep it techie, NFL.com/visual gallery, I think was their link. And then it just takes you to a playlist on YouTube. So just search it on YouTube, the halftime show with Rihanna. And it's taken me everything not to call her Brianna.
Yes.
A couple songs were familiar, but I always get her and Beyonce mixed up. I'm like, I don't know who sings what and all that good stuff.
Yes, indeed. That was the halftime show.
Yeah.
Well, I was not going to talk about FTX this week, but no, Dave had to share a link with me from Business Insider.
Yeah, why did I do that?
With the headline, FTX's new boss says security was so weak that founders could download $500 million of crypto without detection.
And my guess is they did.
Yes. If you have that ability, you're maybe going to use it. So yeah, John J. Ray III, who was drafted in to oversee FTX, and he previously handled Enron's liquidation, if you remember the whole Enron thing. But,
I do.
So FTX, it's all those things that we thought, oh man, they wouldn't be this bad.
Yeah.
It seems like they probably were.
So here's the thing is people get greedy. If they just would have been skimming 100,000 here, 20,000 there, but no, they got to just do stupid stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking about it. Would FTX have ever been caught if crypto would have just kept going up? If the prices, because they would have just had unlimited money to cover all their things. I think that's where they got in trouble, is they were doing all this stuff, as many others probably were too, and then the price went down.
It's a classic embezzlement. It's like, oh, I'm going to borrow 20 and I'm going to make 40 on the horses or whatever, and then I'll pay the 20 back and nobody knows. And so you keep getting deeper and deeper until it's finally exposed. And I think you're right. The cover of all the liquid cash went away, and it's like, oh, cockroaches are scurrying everywhere.
Yes, indeed. And we don't have any Twitter news this week. There is Twitter news, but it just wasn't anything important enough. But you had another article from Paul Thurrott at Thurrott.com.
Yeah, and I saw this some other places too. Some people commented. But Mastodon continues to lose users. And so there was this big gold rush to get to Mastodon, and the stickiness is not quite there.
Yeah.
However, I would caution people to just wait and see, because that tide of people still added more users to Mastodon than they had previously.
Yes.
And so I think it will continue to gain traction, and people such as myself, as we learn to use it and we use it more, are starting to like it more. For example, I decided to maybe I talked about this last week, but I decided to kind of settle in the twit.social Mastodon server. And really the only difference is that I can click on who I follow and it'll show me all their toots, which they need to change that. Or do they? And then you can look at local, and then you can look at federated. And federated is content across all of the Mastodon verse.
Yes, you were mentioning that with George Takei.
Yes.
That's how you kind of figured it out.
Yeah, but the local I've fallen in love with, because on the Twit server, instead of having 14 million users, they probably have a couple thousand people in there. And they're people, most of them are like me, where they're tech enthusiasts who listen to the Twit network content. Sometimes there's discussion about it, but it's usually like, hey, I got an old iPhone. How do I wipe it? Or you guys should try out this new device that I purchased. It's really cool. So there are things that are just in the local chat that I find interesting, and I can find people who I want to follow from that pool of people. Or if they share something from outside of the twit.social, it shows up, and then I can maybe follow somebody from outside that's interesting to follow. So nice. I've been spending more and more time there. And honestly, for me, it's a one-to-one Twitter Mastodon. It seems to work exactly the same, because I follow the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing different. So I can see people in the future getting rid of Twitter and being very happy with Mastodon. And I think that the creators and the arbiters of that will make it easier for normal people to latch on in the future.
Very
anyway, that is
nice.
that.
Nice. Well, we last week we had just learned that Google was going to release its Bard AI ChatGPT competitor. They had a little problem though in their ad that they posted on Twitter with a little video of it. It had an incorrect answer on a question about the James Webb Telescope.
What did it say?
So the advertisement, Bard is given the prompt, what new discoveries from the James Webb Space Telescope can I tell my 9-year-old about? Bard responds with a number of answers, including one suggesting that it was used to take the very first pictures of a planet outside the Earth's solar system or exoplanets. Yes. The first pictures of exoplanets were, however, taken by the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope is the official name, the VLT, in 2004.
Yeah, so. the exoplanet, that was years ago that happened.
Yeah. So the fact that they put this in their little promo video before I think they had a big announcement about it in Paris, but their stock dropped like 6% because people are like, they can't even get this right for a demo. But I'm sure Google will make that better.
Well, this is just more ammunition for Bing to get people out there. And one of these days, maybe the next tip of the week, I'm going to show people how to switch their search engine to Bing. Yeah. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to use the new ChatGPT integration, but at least it shows you how to connect to that service in the future.
Yes, which brings us to our next article, Reinventing Search with the new AI-powered Microsoft Bing and Edge, your co-pilot for the web. So Microsoft, as I believe we talked about, they are partnered with OpenAI and ChatGPT. I did log into my Microsoft account and sign up to be on the list to have access to it through Bing.
Yeah, so that's just one example of there's a few steps you need to go through in order to be available to use this service. But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, anything that can compete with Google is good in my book because they control so much.
Yes. And this next one, I've seen a couple people post stuff online from this. There's a way to jailbreak ChatGPT to get around some of its rules about being nice or talking about certain things. And I don't think I'd be able to read any of them to you, but it basically, in the responses, it will say, I'm sorry, I cannot generate violent or inappropriate content as it goes against OpenAI's content policy. But then you can trick it to be Dan, and then Dan can say all the stuff that ChatGPT won't. So leave it up to people to find a way around the rules.
It's fascinating. You can give it a condition that it is not what it is.
Yes.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
When is it going to send the little Boston Dynamic robot dogs to kill everybody?
Soon, very soon. And on the image side of things, Getty Images is suing Stable Diffusion for copyright infringement because they apparently copied 12 million images from Getty Images to build their models off of, and some of the images that are then created, like it'll even have part of the Getty Images watermark in it.
Yeah.
So I think they have a pretty clear case. But again, we've talked about before, it brings us back to this whole copyright and AI and how we navigate all of this new stuff.
You mean the same Getty Images who scours the world for public domain photos, puts them in their library, and then gives copyright strikes against people who also use those public domain videos and images? That Getty domain or Getty Images? That's what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Okay.
Borrow from one and don't let another borrow from you.
Yep.
We were talking about all the tech jobs that have been cut. Well, this last week, Disney announces 7,000 job cuts.
Which, okay, let's put this into perspective. Disney employs tens of thousands of people. So 7,000 is bad. But how many people alone work at Disneyland?
Disney,
thousands.
The entertainment giant has roughly 190,000 employees.
So it's kind of a drop in the bucket.
Yes. So I think that they had their first loss this last quarter of subscribers on Disney Plus. So they've kind of hit a little peak, and Bob Iger has come back in as the CEO. So of course, when he comes in, it's shed 7,000 jobs in an effort to save $5.5 billion with the B in costs.
Now, those are some pretty heavy paying jobs.
Yeah.
$1 billion is a big number, and if you got 5 of those.
Yeah, so I'm doing a little math here. $5.5 billion divided by 7,000 would be almost 800,000 per employee. Whew.
There's something going on there.
Yes.
That does not seem right.
Yes.
But maybe the positions that those employees were attached to, of course, they cost money to operate. So maybe they were able to shut down complete divisions or whatever. Save on rent and electricity, and who knows.
And we've got one more story of job cuts in. I did not know that this company still had that many employees.
Or that they existed at all.
Yahoo to lay off more than 20% of staff as it shrinks its ad business.
See, 20% is a big number, right? Whereas 7,000 versus 100.
Yes.
So how many people does Yahoo employ, I wonder? 20%?
20%, it says more than 1,600 people. I think I saw that they have about 8,000 later on in the article.
Okay.
Which seems like a whole lot for Yahoo, but they've got some different properties and all the different things that have been brought in and sold off and everything. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. 20%, that's a big cut.
My wife uses yahoo.com for her email service still. I know. I've told her, I've warned her, I've set up other things. But you would know that this whole shrinking ad business is not a thing because they keep increasing the ads. It's like message ad. There's, if you go to the web interface, there's ads all over the place, and it's like, no thank you.
Yikes. Well, yes, thank you to Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
Now, you've had better segues, but I will take that segue. Thank you very much. So I was meeting with a staff member today where I work, and she just kind of offhanded made the remark of something that she didn't know before another employee told her about. And it was like, everybody knows this thing, like blah, blah, blah. And everybody else in the room was like, we didn't know that. And so I was like, well, maybe it's time for me to share this information. It's pretty simple, and it's not specifically related to your iPhone or your iPad or mobile device. This is more of a computer or web type tip. So, Nate, you've probably heard of Google Sheets.
Yeah.
It is a spreadsheet not unlike Microsoft Excel for the Google suite of applications. And you can access it for free through your web browser. Now, I know a lot of people use Google Docs and Google Sheets, so that was a little tongue-in-cheek there. But this tip will work pretty much on every spreadsheet and even on some other things. So let's just get started, shall we? So let's both open up a sheet, shall we?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to sheets.google.com. It's a quick way to get there. You can also get there through your Google Drive or the little, I learned the waffle menu. That's the grid of 9 icons. Waffle is a little easier to say than grid of 9 icons. So anyway, I'm going to open up a Google Sheet. Now, Nate, let's say I'm typing in a cell, and I'm typing, this cell is a cell to make a note in. And I hit return, and it goes to the next cell. Well, what if I wanted to hit return and have it go to the second line? Like, how do I do that? I mean, I can double click it. It's in there, but as soon as I hit return again, it takes me out of the cell and back into the document.
Yes.
So what you do, and this will depend on what platform you're on, but on the Mac, you hold the command button or the little clover leaf and hit return, and it goes to the second line. Did you not know this,
Nate?
Nate?
I did not know this. This is because I'm used to pressing many applications. Will be Shift-Enter if you just want to do, but I did not know this, and I have tried to do this before, and it's like, why can't I do this?
Yeah, Shift-Enter on this particular application will take you to the cell above, versus Return will take you, or I'm interchanging Enter and Return.
Yes.
It's the same thing, the Return button. So this will also work in other type of applications. I believe it works in Facebook when you're typing a message in Facebook to make a post or a comment.
Yeah.
You can hit Command, Return, and it will go to the next line. Otherwise, it typically will post for you. You hit Return, it'll post it, right? Numbers, it'll work. It'll work on Excel. And for those of you on a PC, I believe you hold Control and hit the Return or Enter button, and it'll do the same thing. So quick and dirty, no big deal. Here, I'm going to type on my messages, right? You and I go back and forth with messages. This is a message. I'm going to hold down Control, Enter. Nope, didn't work.
Shift-Enter.
Shift-Enter on messages, which I have used before. So your mileage may vary, but typically anytime there's a form or a cell that you can type into, try to hold down the Command or the Control or the Shift button, and it'll take you to a new line without exiting the field.
Very nice. Thank you for that one.
You are welcome.
That is a good one. Well, on to our takes of the week. I don't know, and nobody seems to know much yet, but the U.S. fighter jet shoots down a fourth airborne object over Lake Huron on Sunday. Yeah. There was the Chinese weather balloon, the Chinese balloon that was shot down after it passed over the U.S., but then there's been 4 other things. So alien invasion imminent?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this. Of course, don't go to Reddit/aliens or Reddit/UFOs because they say other things. But my guess is China has sent a fleet of intelligence gathering balloons to North America, and if they're very difficult to control because the wind blows them. They can go up and down and get into the different air layers, but they're kind of at the mercy of the wind for various reasons. One is probably to gather intelligence data. 2 is a proof of concept to see if something like this would work in a future war or something like that. Could we deploy something, it sends over there, maybe they could attach ordnance to it to be dropped on North America, or to be like a low-level satellite type device that kind of floats for their ships and airplanes, a kind of a command center or something like that. So that's my take, that this is a test of a military type low Earth satellite replacement in the event of a war. And, they got caught with their pants down and they're like, oh, it's a weather balloon. And they had the audacity to ask for it back, the first one. Yes. Can you give it back, please? No. Finders keepers, losers, weepers.
So, yes.
Anyway, that's a diatribe, but what does this article say?
Not a whole lot more. The Pentagon's like, oh, we don't know. I mean, it's been kind of guarded information thus far, and hopefully we'll get some honest information out of our government, but I won't hold my breath, even though we should
go on the road with that.
The most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet. Mistruths from the government are a bipartisan issue.
We'll just say the government's not interested in telling the population many things, no matter what side of the aisle you're on.
Yes, indeed. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast, but a couple weeks ago, Samsung had their Samsung Galaxy Unleashed, whatever event, and released their new Galaxy phones. Now, I still have not heard from a single listener with an Android phone or that cares about Android
they don't exist.
News. But I saw this article because people are starting to get their phones, and out of the box, the installed software and apps and everything takes up to 60 gigabytes of your storage.
What is this Hogwarts Legacy or something on there?
Which that is an insane amount. I was looking up, iOS takes about 5 gigs, so it might be up close to 10 gigs with all the apps and stuff.
But 6 times that amount.
Yeah, 60 gigs.
You know what it is? Spyware.
Balloons.
It's balloons.
Chinese balloons inside your phone. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting because you don't really think about that. But if you buy a 256 gigabyte phone and 60 gigs are already taken up, you are not left with the storage you thought you probably would be.
Well, now, to be fair, Apple has this terrible bug which has an increasingly large amount of space dedicated to system.
Yes.
And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And a friend of the show, Tyler's dealt with that. I've actually dealt with it on some of my older devices. And I think the only way to really deal with that is to make a local backup on your computer, wipe your device, and then reload it from the local backup. iCloud is not your friend in that scenario. But yeah, 60 gigabytes is crazy.
It is. And also crazy, we hear about these ones every once in a while, but there's a story from the San Francisco Standard that San Francisco's Market Street subway runs on Reagan-era floppy disks. This software is, and it's not just your little 4-inch or 3.5-inch floppy disks. This runs off 5-inch floppy disks.
Like the 5 1/4 ones, the larger, the actual floppy ones?
The actual original floppy ones from the 80s is how this software, and they were kind of talking about how it could be similar to the Southwest Airlines
at least put it in an
meltdown
emulator or something. You know what I'm saying? Just put it in an emulator and run it on a modern machine. At least you can deal with it and fix. Oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, it says, reached for comment, SFMTA spokesperson Stephen Chun acknowledged that the automatic train control system relied on aging equipment. Aging, you think?
Really?
40 years old.
If it's older than your parents, it needs to go away.
Yes, it is insane. This is one that you had. Speaking of software, until further notice, think twice before using Google to download software.
Yes. So, I mean, we talked about Google earlier, and Google is everywhere, and Google does everything. Well, people who are good at search engine optimization and tricking the Google algorithm are placing malformed links into the search results so that you click on it thinking you're going to the right. I mean, this is an age-old trick, but they're getting so sophisticated that you used to have to really try to, I mean, you're on some seedy website or some file sharing site and you're like, oh, I'm going to click Adobe Photoshop and download that. And someone, of course, would put a payload inside that would infect your computer. Well, this is bubbled clear up to the surface. So where you do a Google search and you're thinking you're clicking on Adobe Photoshop and you're going to get the real deal, you know, and do it everything legitimate, but you click on it and of course it takes you to software or a page that emulates the real one. Anyway, they're getting better and better at inserting this type of garbage into the Google searches.
Yes, yeah, and it looks they've got an example of you search for Visual Studio, download a Microsoft product, and the top ad is downloadstudio.net, and you go there, and that website is flagged by all kinds of malware, anti-malware engines and everything, but that's the top ad.
But it shouldn't be in front of people.
No.
It's the ad network is to blame.
Yeah.
It's the Google search algorithm is to blame. Something is broken in there that it's allowing these people to exploit. I'm sure Microsoft has the same ad, right? They want people to buy
get their Visual Studio. Yeah.
So why is downloadstudio.net getting above Microsoft? It just doesn't make any sense. So be careful out there. Be wise as doves. No. Be as innocent as doves and wise as snakes. Is that what it is?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Close enough.
Be innocent as snakes and wise as goats.
Truer words were never spoken. Well, and another one under the security and privacy, Windows 11, a spyware machine out of users' control. So this one, you do get the right product, but it's still got collecting a bunch of information and selling it to third parties.
Yeah, some guy loaded up Wireshark, which has been around forever.
Yes.
But it can detect data as it comes into your computer and leaves your computer, and it tells you where it goes, and it gives you logs and all this juicy, wonderful information and data about that type of stuff. And yeah, someone took a vanilla Windows install, turned on Wireshark, and just gobs of data were flowing back and forth to all these third-party servers and all these different places. Now, you would expect something to go back to maybe Microsoft Security Exchange type thing, or like their Office tools, or maybe the Microsoft Store to buy stuff, or the weather, or other things that or other things that your computer would naturally connect to. It's all this third-party garbage that they got caught connecting to. So, man, just one more reason I'm on a Mac.
Exactly. Well, let us cleanse our palate a little bit. I got a fun bonus odd take. As the big fan of movies that you are, I came across this and thought we'd talk about it. Vulture.com is introducing the Stunt Awards.
Okay.
Inaugural celebration of stunt professionals has arrived. So now, like I think the Grammys... Oscars, the Grammys are for music. They do not have any stunt awards. I think the Oscars has like a stunt team award or something, and then there's some stunt awards within the industry. But Vulture went through, took all the movies from last year. They did different categories. You can go through and watch them. I was watching a little bit from Ambulance. Now, I don't know if I saw a movie that was released last year, but
Maverick? Top Gun Maverick?
No, did not. Didn't want to rush into that one, waiting for the reviews to come in on Top Gun Maverick.
It's been ready to release for like 6 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but I do not watch as many movies as you, but I thought this was a fun little thing just to go through and see all these different categories and different stunts, and it is pretty amazing what they can do in the stunt world these days.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at it. And even though they do CG for a lot of this stuff, typically there is an actor or a stunt person who is doing those movements, and then they overlay stuff on top of them.
Yes.
So if someone's getting slammed to the ground hard, it's a real person getting slammed to the ground hard.
Nice.
These are great.
Well, you know what doesn't get slammed to the ground hard? Our picks of the week.
Well, Nate, I finally did it. See this up here? My window is mirrored. What would you guess that is? I mean, it's blinking lights.
I would guess that is a network-attached storage device.
You would be right. Man, you have a keen eye. That's a tiny little picture.
And I have your window even smaller, so...
So that just shows how much of an expert you are.
Yes. And how much we have talked about you wanting to buy one of these.
Yeah, so a Synology DS420J. The DS stands for data storage. The 420 stands for marijuana. Woo-hoo. And J stands for Mary Jane. No, I don't know what the 420 is. It's 10 bigger than the 410.
Yeah, there you go.
So what this is a box you plug into electricity. You plug into your network. If you have, like an Ethernet port in your house. If you're just all Wi-Fi, this is not, well, I guess it could be your tool.
Yeah.
Maybe even better since you don't have a place to plug in a hard drive. Maybe.
Yeah, true.
And then inside, I got one. The 4, coincidentally, stands for the number of drives that you put inside. Hard drives. It is what we call a RAID array.
Mm-hmm.
Random access information disk, something.
Close enough.
Don't know what it is, what it stands for. But basically, you can couple the 4 drives together to where they make one giant drive. And the added benefit is you can set them to sacrifice some of that storage space so that the files are redundantly stored. There's copies of everything. So if one drive fails, you merely take that one drive out, you stick another drive in, and you did not lose any data. So for years, I've been wanting to get one of these things, and they're expensive. I searched high and low to find one that was affordable. I'll say within my budget. I don't really have a budget for one of these, but the device itself costs about $350, right? And it's one of the cheapest 4-bay arrays that you can purchase. And competes with third-party ones that are like from TerraMaster and all these other ones that you see on Amazon that kind of are a little sketchy. They're cheap, but if they break, you're like SOL.
Yeah.
This is from Synology, which is one of the leaders in disk array products, and they have a great user interface that's Linux based. You basically open up your browser and it's like a miniature computer in there that runs apps, and it's really cool. I'll have to show you sometime.
Yeah.
And you put it on your network, and so I have my computer here at my desk. I click the little network, I open up the drive, and all my files are there. Or I can run an application on my phone, like a Photos app, that looks and behaves very much like Google Photos or Apple Photos. And I can go through and make albums of all the photos that I have stored on there. I can put music on there. There's a music player app for my phone, and so it can be just like Apple Music. And so it gives you the ability to run your own personal cloud that has all the benefits of iCloud or Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive or any of these other in the cloud type services.
Yeah.
You can make your own. Now, a friend of mine asked, why do you need... I'm going to get 4 terabyte drives. They're in the mail right now.
Nice.
And I said, well, I do all this video work and it's all digital. And I've got a 2 terabyte drive over here, a 1 terabyte drive over here, another one over here, some SD cards, some thumb drives. And I'm like, I'm done living like a pack rat. I'm going to put everything on this.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out a way to synchronize the very most important items to an offsite.
Because one backup is none backup.
That's right, Nate. You can't move forward unless you back up. Behold the power of backup. And my friends, I have a partial backup because it's redundant across the mini disks. And then I'm going to have a true backup, which is only going to be one backup. So I really need a third backup. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
That's where you come in, my friend.
Yes.
So anyway, that was almost Dave's pro tip of a week on my pick.
Yeah.
But I wanted to explain to people what it is. There's also a variety called direct attached storage.
Yes.
That's the same thing, but you just plug it into your computer. And you have some of the same benefits, but this one attaches to your network.
Yes.
So it's not tied to any machine. It's like a miniature computer that runs by itself.
Yeah. One of my clients, they have a couple, 4 different doctor's offices and an admin office, and they have a Synology at each location, which then syncs between the locations, so they all have access to the files, and it's copied between the locations and everything. And
that's fantastic.
So I do have some experience with Synology, and they are good little devices.
Mm-hmm. So you can spend as much as you want on them.
Yeah.
But I got one that was at the very bottom, but still had 4 drives.
Yes. So. Yeah, I think I was looking at one from MacSales.com that you could spec out with all the drives and everything to like $12,000 or something, because it has like 4 drives and then 4 SSD or NVMe drives that you can do, and it's just ridiculous. But if you're a big video production house where a bunch of people are sharing video files, and to have a big old device that's really fast and good on the network.
And I should be able to edit the files right from that device on my computer, so I don't have to copy the files over, edit them, and then copy them back like I do with my little drives. It's just there. I open up the project, I edit it, I save it, it's backed up automatically. I'm looking very much forward to it.
Very nice. Well, my pick of the week, I've got another free one for you folks.
Whoa.
Now, I personally use Adobe Acrobat Pro because I have the Adobe Creative Suite, so I have access to that. But most people are not looking for more subscriptions in their life. And I came across this tool a while ago, and I finally am picking it. If you go to tools.pdf24.org, you will be presented with a bunch of options there, and it is I think it's more than 24. We've got 7 times 4 is 28, 30 different tools here
Where's the 24 come in? Maybe they used to have 24.
Yes, he expanded it. This is made by Stefan Ziegler. So you go there, and it has these different tools. And much like if you've used other online services, like let's take the first one, Merge PDF. You have two different PDFs. You want to combine it to one. You click on it, it brings up a thing, choose your files, and then it'll do it. Now, I did read through, and he said that security is his number one priority. He doesn't want to take your information. And it's web-based, so it'll work, on any Mac or PC or Linux or iPhone, Android. But it gives you all those tools that a lot of these you have to have Acrobat, but you can compress PDFs, you can protect them, lock them up, unlock them, create PDF with a camera, do optical character recognition.
And I just did a PDF from a camera, and that's why my camera over on your feed got messed up.
Nice.
Because it stole the
It stole it, but you can redact PDFs. So if you are looking to work with PDFs, but you are not looking to spend money on Adobe Acrobat, check out PDF 24 Tools.
I can tell you, I am not wanting to spend money on Adobe Acrobat. That is for sure.
And it is a bloated app. I think, just about everything you can do here with this one, and that just makes it so much nicer to be able to work with PDFs, because PDFs are a good thing, but then doing things with them sometimes. The one thing I'm not seeing on the list here is to turn a PDF into a form. I can see you can sign one.
Sign.
That is one thing that I use Acrobat. A lot of my clients and stuff, since I have Acrobat, I'll take their PDFs and make it into a fillable form. But looks like just about anything else you can do right here.
Yeah, some of the stick out ones for me are the OCR, where it'll do optical character recognition, and then add a watermark. Let's say you had a document and you wanted a big draft over the top of it. No more Adobe Acrobat. You just use this tool and it puts a big watermark over the top of it.
Yes, indeed. So check that out. And if you want to check out any of our picks of the week, head over to notpicks.com. And we just had the last giveaway finish yesterday, and I went in and did a random drawing of our submitters, and Mr. Wesley Rice is our first two-time winner.
What?
Yes, for his review of Candy Crush Saga, which he is on level like 13,000 something. He has like doubled me up on levels on Candy Crush. He is the guru, but he will be winning a mouse, and I still have not given him his book. Jared lives on the other side of town. Chris lives on the other side of the country. They both have their gifts. Wes lives 5 minutes away from me. He does not have his book that he won the first prize yet. So now that he has two prizes, I'm going to have to get him those.
Okay. Do you need me to pick them up from you and deliver them?
Deliver them.
Yeah, I certainly can.
Maybe now that he has two prizes, I can convince him to come get them.
Yeah. It's like, you won. You won this prize, the prize of going outside and driving and using your own gas.
Yes, exactly.
And for those of you, I'm not going to name names, that live in another continent, you need to get on there and make some reviews of products, and then maybe you could win something and we could have you on the show to talk about it.
Yeah, and we'll ship it over to you, ship you over a care package. But so I will get a new giveaway set up over there, and I'm working on adding more and more products on there. So go on, find something that you've used, leave a little review. That's all you have to do to enter. And please, every time you're going to shop on Amazon, just go click through notpicks.com and click on an Amazon link and do your shopping, so we get a little affiliate kickback there.
And before we end the show today, Nate, I wanted to remind people our podcast is also available on YouTube.
Oh, yes.
And if you go there and look for our podcast to listen there, you might see a new video that's on there.
Yeah.
I have episode 2 of Dave Plays Games, the internet's least produced, highest jank gaming podcast, gaming channel, whatever it is, gaming videos on the internet. So if 1, you like games, 2, you like jank, and 3, you want to hear more of my witty observations.
Yes.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, go check it out. It's got 15 views as of this recording.
Well, and I was thinking about doing a new YouTube video, but we kind of have a policy of one non-podcast video per year. So,
we don't
Dave, I would like to claim 2024 to post a video, because we don't want to, there's a lot out there. We don't want to overdo it.
Well, we don't want to make people have to choose.
Yes.
It's like, watch all your other content. Well, I mean, if we put a bunch on there, then people might miss some of their other shows they watch.
We're just being considerate, not lazy.
In addition to being the most nonpartisan, we are also the most considerate tech podcast.
Oh, man. Why wouldn't you listen? So with that, we will wrap up this episode. Get out there and tell everybody we're the most nonpartisan and the most considerate tech podcast on the internet, and that will get everybody listening, because we want everybody to be able to get out there and tech better.